Hello and welcome to Daily Current Affairs by Ekam IAS. Today is 23rd June 2019 and the topics for discussion are National Family Health Survey, Bosco Act 2012, Goods and Services Tax Council GST Council, National Anti-Profiteering Authority NAA, Map Period Program and Previous Year Question Revision Series. So coming to the first topic, National Family Health Survey. Now, this survey is in news because of the situation that is currently happening in Bihar. You know, hundreds of children have died in Bihar because of this syndrome called acute encephalitis syndrome. Now, they're attaching it that the reason they're saying that is because of the consumption of lychee fruit on an empty stomach and going to bed, and also heat wave. So, doctors and virologists have actually come to know, they have concluded that it is the main culprit in the death of the children is not just the lychee fruit but the malnutrition. So here they have concluded that when the children eat lychee fruit, a malnutrition child eats lychee fruit before going to bed and does not eat their dinner also, in this cases the child dies. So coming and talking about this survey, the National Family Health Survey is a large scale multi-round survey conducted in households throughout the India. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare designated International Institute for Population Sciences at Mumbai as the nodal agency responsible for providing coordination and technical guidance for the National Family Health Survey. Now, NFHS is funded by United States Agency for International Development along with UNICEF. So here is a question, UPSC can ask if NFHS is only funded by UNICEF. It is wrong. It is also funded by United States Agency for International Development. Keep that in mind. Let's talk more about this. So there are 4 rounds of the survey has been conducted in India. The first one was in 92 to 93. Later it came to 98, 99. After that, it was from 2005 to 2006, and the latest, which is National Family Health Survey 4, was conducted in 2015-16. On the first 3 surveys, the UTs had not been surveyed. They did not take the survey of the union territories except for Delhi. Coming to the next topic is Bosco Act of 2012. Now, this is in news because over 36,000 cases were registered under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. Now, this happened in 2016, so many cases being registered. And the National and State Commissions for Protection of Child Rights have been mandated to monitor the implementation of the Bosco Act. Now, what is the Bosco Act? You will wonder that it is established to promote the protection of children against offences like sexual abuse, sexual harassment and pornography. It was formed to provide a child-friendly system of trial in which perpetrators could be punished, and it also makes provisions for avoiding the re-victimization of a child at the hands of the judicial system. Let's talk about a few features of the Act. Now, the Act clearly defines that a child is any person below the age of 18 years. It also defines different forms of sexual abuse and what punishment should be given to it. It makes it the legal duty of a person to be aware of the offence and report on the sexual abuse. Now, if in case he fails to do so, the person also can be punished with a minimum of 6 months in jail. The Act further states that the evidence of the child should be recorded within a period of 30 days, and the special court will take up the matter, and it should be able to complete the trial within 1 year. The prescribed rigorous imprisonment of at least 10 years, which can be extended for imprisonment for life also. This punishment can also be given for child abuse. It also prescribes the punishment to the people who traffic children for sexual purposes. So all the traffickers, human traffickers will also come under this. Coming to the next topic is Goods and Services Tax Council or GST Council. Now, GST, this is in news because it has decided to extend the tenure of National Anti-Profiteering Authority. The tenure has been extended, and it has approved the imposition of an additional penalty of up to 10% of the profiteered amount if companies don't pay a fine within 30 days. Now let's talk more about the GST Council. Now the GST Council is a constitutional body for making recommendations to the union and state government on issues related to goods and services tax. It is chaired by the Union Finance Minister and it was introduced in the country by the 101st Amendment Act in 2016. Now, as per the article of 279A1, the GST Council has to be constituted by the President within 60 days of the commencement of the Act. Now again, as per the article of 279A4, the Council will make recommendations to the Union and states on important issues related to the GST. Let's talk about the members in the Council. Now, as I said, this is a constitutional body. It's also a federal body, which means it will have members from the Union and the states. So the Union, from the Union side, the GST Council will be the chairperson will be the Union Finance Minister. Also, the Union Minister of State in charge of Revenue or Finance will also be a member. From the state side, the Ministers of Finance or Taxation from all the states will also be a member in this council. All the matters will be discussed on the basis of consensus, and the weightage with respect to union and state is that union will have 1/3 of the power and the states will have 2/3 of the power. Coming to the next topic is National Anti-Profiteering Authority. Now, National Anti-Profiteering Authority or NAA is an institutional mechanism under GST law to check that the unfair profit-making activities by trading community is not happening. The authority's core function is to ensure that the benefits of the reduction in GST rates on goods and services made by the GST Council is passed down ultimately to the consumer. So therefore, you can understand the responsibility of the NAA would be to examine and check that such profiteering activities are not taking place, and if it is taking place, recommend the punitive actions including cancellation of registration in case such an issue is taking place. Let's talk about the structure. It is headed by a senior officer of the level of Secretary to the Government of India with 4 technical members from the centre and states. Now, initially the authority had a sunset date of 2 years from the date on which the chairman assumes charge. The chairman and the 4 members of the authority have to be less than 62 years, so that is the age limit beyond which they cannot be appointed. Coming to the map aided program, today we will be talking about the national parks of Tripura. Now, Tripura has 2 national parks, Clouded Leopard National Park and Rajbari National Park. You can see the locations in the diagram. Now, coming to the first one, the Clouded Leopard National Park. Now, it is situated in Sipahijola Wildlife Sanctuary in Tripura. It houses the clouded leopard, which is a vulnerable species under the IUCN. As you can see from the figure, it is a very beautiful looking species. Coming to the next national park is the Rajbari National Park. Now, the Rajbari National Park is also called the Bison National Park, and it is situated inside the Trishna Wildlife Sanctuary and houses the world's famous Indian gaur. You can see from the figure that it's a very big animal. In fact, the Indian gaur is the biggest and the strongest bison species in the world. Coming to the previous year question revision series, with reference to the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, consider the following statements. 1. Under the scheme, farmers will have to pay a uniform premium of 2% for every crop, for any crop that they cultivate in any season of the year. 2. This scheme covers post-harvest losses arising out of cyclones and unseasonal rains. Okay, so let's talk about Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. This Yojana is a comprehensive insurance cover against crop failures, so that when the crops are failing, the income of the farmers will not considerably reduce. It will help them stabilize the income of the farmers. Now, if you read the first statement, you will feel it's too extreme when you consider sentences like, 2% for any crop they cultivate in any season of the year. It is too extreme for UPSC standards. In fact, under the scheme, there is a uniform premium of 2% for all kharif crops, 1.5% for all rabi crops, and 5% for all commercial and horticultural crops. There itself you will understand that the crops have been segregated into 3 groups and each group has its own premium rates. So looking at that, you can understand that the first statement is wrong. Coming to the second statement, The scheme covers post-harvest losses arising out of cyclones and unseasonal rains. That is correct. In fact, the scheme also covers losses due to unseen floods or just local flooding in a region. That is also covered by the scheme. So, looking at that, we can come to know that the answer is B. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any comments or queries, please write down in the comment section below. Thank you.